Good evening, and welcome back to Trending Now USA. I'm Bella, and tonight, we are following an emotional and deeply human moment in the world of tennis, where the sport's raw competitive edge unexpectedly collided with vulnerability, heartbreak, and overwhelming emotion. The story centers on Aryna Sabalenka, one of the fiercest and most dominant forces in modern tennis, whose recent match left the stadium silent and millions at home stunned. Not because of the final score, but because of what happened afterward. Aryna Sabalenka, known globally for her power, determination, and unshakable fighting spirit, walked onto the court with confidence. Fans expected another demonstration of explosive serving, heavy hitting, and signature intensity. For years, Sabalenka has built a reputation as a player who never backs down, who approaches every point like a battle, and who refuses to let emotion interfere with her mission. But on this day, something was different. Something felt heavier, deeper, and unavoidably personal. From the first set, it was clear that she was struggling, not physically but emotionally. Her focus seemed divided. Her intensity was present, but her expression revealed something simmering beneath the surface. There were moments where she paused longer than usual, moments where she turned away from the baseline and closed her eyes as if grounding herself. Some fans thought she was simply under pressure, but those watching closely sensed this was something more. As the match progressed, Sabalenka fought hard, pushing herself with everything she had. Every forehand was packed with intention, every serve carried her signature force. But despite her effort, the momentum slowly slipped away. Her opponent capitalized on tactical precision, movement, and consistency, and while Sabalenka delivered moments of brilliance, it was clear the balance was shifting. Points she would normally finish with confidence ended in errors. Rallies she would dominate suddenly felt uphill. The crowd could feel the tension evolving, not the usual competitive frustration, but something more emotional. With every lost point, Sabalenka's expression shifted from controlled focus to visible strain. Still, she continued. Still, she fought. Still, she refused to give up. When match point arrived, the stadium fell silent. Sabalenka bounced the ball, breathing deeply, trying to steady herself. She served, the rally unfolded, and just moments later, it was over. Her opponent raised their arms in victory, but the eyes of the spectators were fixed somewhere else. Sabalenka froze. She stood still, shoulders tight, expression blank, until the moment her hand lifted to her face, covering her eyes as tears began to fall. The roar of celebration turned into hushed sympathy. For someone known globally as one of the toughest psychological athletes in tennis, someone who has endured scrutiny, controversy, and pressure at the highest level, seeing Aryna Sabalenka break down like that felt surreal. This wasn't frustration. This wasn't anger. This was heartbreak, raw, visible, undeniable heartbreak. As she sat on the bench, the cameras zoomed in, capturing a moment that will stay in tennis history. Sabalenka leaned forward, elbows on her knees, hand over her mouth, tears streaming as she tried, and failed, to contain herself. Her chest rose and fell in short, uneven breaths. The more she tried to control her emotions, the more they surfaced. And as she covered her face, it became clear. This moment was overwhelming not just professionally, but personally. Officials approached gently. A member of her team walked toward her, offering quiet words and a reassuring touch on the shoulder. Sabalenka nodded, but she couldn't speak. Her face was red, her eyes swollen, and her body language showed a mixture of disappointment, exhaustion, and emotional release. Fans watching from home took to social media immediately. Responses came rapidly. Seeing Sabalenka cry like that broke me. She always looks so strong. This hurts. Sending love to Aryna. She's human too. Even tennis legends commented, acknowledging her vulnerability and resilience. Many pointed out that moments like this reveal the emotional cost of competing at the highest level. For top athletes, the world sees trophies, endorsements, fame, and powerful victories, but rarely sees the emotional toll behind those achievements. After several long minutes, Sabalenka attempted to compose herself. She wiped her face, breathed deeply, and stood up. The stadium applauded, not out of tradition, but out of compassion. Fans weren't reacting to the loss. They were responding to the humanity on display. As she walked to the ceremony area, she still appeared shaken. Her steps were slow, and her posture carried the weight of disappointment. Holding the runner-up plate, she attempted a smile, but the emotion lingered in her eyes. During her speech, her voice cracked on her first words. She paused, trying again, but her throat tightened. I just want to say thank you, she began softly, struggling. This one hurts. It really hurts. For a moment, she stopped speaking, closing her eyes, collecting herself. The audience waited, not impatiently, but respectfully. She continued, expressing gratitude to the fans, her team, and her opponent, acknowledging the difficulty of the match. But even as she spoke, her voice wavered, emotion breaking through. It wasn't the speech of a defeated athlete. It was the speech of someone who deeply cared, someone who poured everything into her performance and still didn't reach the result she hoped for. After the ceremony, Sabalenka exited the court visibly emotional. Cameras captured her walking through the hallway, head down, tears returning. A staff member handed her a towel, and she covered her face completely. At one point, she leaned against the wall, unable to keep walking. Her body shook slightly as she cried, not softly, but deeply, as if releasing everything she had been holding back for weeks, months, maybe longer. This moment sparked conversations across sports media platforms. Analysts discussed pressure, expectations, and the mental burden that elite athletes face. Public conversation shifted from criticism to empathy, from scoreboards to emotional resilience. Many recalled Sabalenka's previous struggles, including personal loss and private battles she never publicly detailed. Fans remembered interviews where she hinted at stress, burnout, and emotional fatigue. Suddenly, today's breakdown made sense, not as weakness, but as a moment of emotional overflow after carrying too much for too long. Sports psychology experts weighed in, explaining how athletes often suppress emotions during competition and only process them afterward. For someone like Sabalenka, who carries the responsibility of expectation from an entire fanbase, the emotional toll can become overwhelming. But despite the heartbreak, many pointed out something powerful. Even in tears, Sabalenka displayed strength. She showed honesty. She showed vulnerability. She showed that even champions have breaking points. In the hours following the match, messages of encouragement poured in, not just from fans, but from fellow athletes. Some praised her passion. Others reminded her that great careers are defined not just by trophies, but by persistence after loss. Her social media platform filled with messages of love, support, and belief. Fans shared photos of her smiling during previous tournaments, celebrating victories, signing autographs, and interacting with young tennis players. Many wrote messages like, "We are proud of you no matter what," and "Take your time. Heal. We'll be here." While Sabalenka did not post anything immediately after the match, sources close to her suggested she planned to take time to process the moment before addressing the public. According to those around her, she was emotionally overwhelmed but grateful for the support. For many watching, this scene was more than a sports moment. It was a reminder that strength doesn't mean never crying. It doesn't mean never breaking. Sometimes, true strength is allowing yourself to feel, to release, and to be human. As we reflect on her emotional moment, one thing remains clear. Aryna Sabalenka is not just an athlete. She is a fighter, a competitor, and, most importantly, a human being navigating the pressures of professional sports and personal challenges while the world watches. The scene of her sitting on the bench with tears falling will remain etched in the memory of tennis fans, not because she lost, but because she allowed herself to be real in a world where perfection is demanded. Tonight, the conversation isn't about ranking points, prize money, or statistics. It's about empathy, resilience, and understanding. It's about recognizing that behind every champion, behind every strong exterior, there is a heart that feels deeply. This moment may have been heartbreaking, but for many, it made Aryna Sabalenka more relatable, more admired, and more respected than ever before. Thank you for joining us here on Trending Now USA. I'm Bella, and we'll continue to follow updates as they come in. Stay tuned, stay kind, and remember, sometimes, even the strongest people need a moment to cry.